the smallest Bokeh King metal build f1.4 fast aperture clicks, the lightest portraiture lens. I want to share with you my findings regarding this lens, that it's available for Sony E mount, for Nikon Z mount, and also for Fujifilm X mount. Hi there, Tudor Matescu here. In this video I want to share with you this amazing lens that I'm so glad that finally I have my dream portraiture, my dream short tele lens for street photography. This lens, it's an 85mm lens with an f1.4 aperture with 15 blades. 15 blades! Outstanding! Really outstanding. This means ultra creamy bokeh-licious backgrounds and foregrounds. Ultra creamy, and yes, they are very creamy. This means amazing portraiture. This means the best way to isolate your subject for wedding photography, for street portraits, but also for all kinds of photography that you can make. Also, this lens has a very well made aperture ring with nice clicks. Let's hear the clicks. Boom, at A point. And when I'm at A, the course is pretty long and you can't bump the ring. Also, the aperture ring is pretty well made, and this means that yes, you will not bump the ring. So you can control this lens however you want. And I will address the ergonomics and the build quality of this lens because it's really great. But I want to share with you also that this is the lightest, I think the lightest, the smallest ever 85mm f1.4 for mirrorless cameras, and it's fully metal build. Nice touch to it, not plastic build and heavier than the other lenses that are on the market. And I will touch also how this lens is comparing to the other options, because this lens, it is Aurora 85mm f1.4 lens, and the contenders that I've used myself are Sony 85mm f1.4, and I will touch how this lens is comparing to that Sony, Sigma 85mm f1.4, and Samyang 85mm f1.4, and I will touch how this lens is comparing to all those three lenses from my experience, short or long, with those Sony E-mount lenses for portraiture. So let's first address the build quality and the ergonomics of this lens, because it's not a simple lens. So first, you have top-notch build quality. You have an USB-C port, so you can update the lens via firmware. This means you are bulletproof regarding firmware updates and all that it's needed. Next, you have an aperture ring. How I've said that I was very impressed with it, with nice clicks. All it's working really perfect. I do not understand why Fujifilm isn't able to do such nice clicks, and on Sony we have so nice lenses with such nice aperture clicks. But more than that, let's say you are a filmmaker and you do not want aperture clicks. Boom, you have a button for declicking the aperture, and now the aperture is declicked. Simple and nice, amazing. Next, you have an AF manual focus switch, really great, top notch for street photography, for wedding photography, when you are shooting between something and you want to control the focus. And also you have a custom button. So all the buttons that you could want from a professional lens on this very friendly price lens, More than that, I think this is the best lens when it comes to a manual focusing ring. Yes, it is focused by wire, but it is so well damped, so well made. It is one of the best focusing ring that I've used on lenses like this. In general, when I'm doing reviews, I'm not addressing at all the focusing ring, because it's just a focusing ring focused by wire. But this is nice, really nice touch to it. Also, you have a small thread, a 67 thread, and this means you can attach small filters. And if you get this lens now, you'll get as a bonus 2 filters. A mist filter that I've used in some test shots, really good and really nice, and also an UV filter. So regarding build quality and what you can put on this lens, all it's great. Let's also address a little this lens hood, because the lens may have flare, but using this lens hood you will not have problems. So a nice lens hood, if you want to have a bigger lens to look more professional, you know what I mean? take this lens hood, put it on the lens, and you'll be a professional portraiture photographer with a very easy peasy package on you that will not break your back or your shoulder. So this lens with Sony a7C, a great pair, easy to take on you, easy to take all kinds of street portraits, horror portraits, or any kind of photography. So regarding weight, the lightest. Regarding build quality, the best, as good as Sigma 85mm f1.4, I would say. You have all the buttons that you could want from a Sony professional lens, or how I said, Nikon Z, and so on. Now let's talk about the minimum focus distance. The minimum to focus distance for a lens like this, it is 0.85 meters. So the minimum focus distance, it is pretty okay. I would have wished to be better, but this is it. In the end, it's a teleportraiture lens, and for portraits and headshots it is sufficient. It is more than sufficient. So how is the image quality? First of all, you have some flare from there to there. I've took this lens without my lens hood and I've got flare. So in the future I will take the lens hood when I want to shoot against the sun and when I have different light sources. So it's always good to have, of course, the lens hood with you. Next, in contrasty situation, it is possible to get some purple fringe, some chromatic aberration that it's easy controllable from Lightroom. Again, this is a professional lens. Semi-professional users and pro users are lightly editing their pictures a little. In general, I wasn't able to see so many problems with this lens, and I've shot all kinds of pictures in pretty hard conditions, but just in one picture I had that chromatic aberration problem. So overall, it is controllable. It's not a deal breaker, because also the other lenses, Sony 85mm f1.4, Samyang, and I do not know for sure regarding Sigma, but Sony and Samyang definitely they have similar chromatic aberrations. These are all the problems that I was able to find regarding image quality, but let's get to the good stuff here. Let's see the good points, because there are so many good points. First of all, the bokeh, it is crazy smooth, crazy creamy. It is one of the creamiest bokeh that I was able to see in my life, and I think it's similar to the Sigma 85mm f1.4 at least. I've used that Sigma for some shots, and yes, the bokeh was creamy, but this has similar creamy bokeh. Boom. Next, I did some bokeh balls test shots, and yes, rounded and nice, amazing. So nice rounded bokeh balls. So creamy bokeh, nice rounded bokeh balls at such a great price. Next, is the lens sharp? Yes, it is definitely sharp, and not crazy sharp like Sigma, and also not crazy sharp like Sony 85mm f1.4. It has the good sharpness, the organic sharpness. It is sharp and contrasty, but it's not making from a female portrait an ugly portrait. So the pictures that I'm showing you here are pictures with clarity on 0 and texture on 0. In general, on Sigma or on Sony, you do want to take the clarity down and the texture down. Also, you can do this with this lens if you want a more soft look for your portraits, but I think the sharpness, it is pretty good. It is really perfect. And more than that, you have very good colors and very good contrast. So exceptional colors, exceptional contrast, good sharpness, crazy smooth bokeh, good AF. So this means you'll get really top-notch portraits. Now, let's talk also regarding the AF. The AF, I think it can be better, and I do hope that they will improve the AF, because from time to time I had some misfocuses at f1.4. Not a deal breaker, because Sony is focusing fast and it's helping you get a nice image, but from time to time you may have some misfocuses, so have that in mind. But now how this lens is comparing to Sony 85mm f1.8 that I've used a lot for my friend, and Sigma 85mm f1.4 and Samyang. Well, Samyang, it's a nice lens, but it's plastic. This is metal and it is lighter. The purple fringe and chromatic aberration, I feel it is similar to the Samyang and to the Sony 85mm f1.8, and I do think that the Sony 85mm f1.8 has chromatic aberration that it's worse than this lens. So, comparing to Sigma. Sigma, yes, it is definitely sharper. It definitely has a nice bokeh and a smooth background, but it is pretty heavy. It is darn heavy and it has a price tag to it. I would not use as a semi-pro photographer Sigma, no way, it doesn't have sense. If you're a pro photographer, then probably yes, if you have many jobs and you need a lens to deliver and you are okay with the weight. But regarding the weight, Sigma, it's losing it for me. It is pretty heavy. Yes, it may be sharp, it may be nice, but why not use this or Samyang? Next, I feel that the Aurora lens has similar image as Samyang, but it is smaller, metal built with all the whistle and bells on it, and also it has a rubber gasket, so it is weather resistant. So how this lens is comparing to the Sony 85mm f1.8? First of all, I think this is your next lens if you are thinking about Sony 85mm f1.8 or this lens or Samyang or other f1.4 lens. If you do not want to buy a lens from Sony, that yes, it's light, but it's as big as this lens, and you do not want that crazy nervous bokeh, then go for this lens. This lens, I feel it is the next step for upgrading or get from the first time a great 85mm f1.4 lens. Yes, the Sony lens, it may focus faster than this lens and more accurate, but the image, I never liked the 85mm f1.8 from Sony. It has purple fringing and chromatic aberration, very ultra visible. I didn't have these problems with this lens. The bokeh, it is ultra nervous on the Sony 85mm f1.8. I hated that bokeh a lot. Also, the images, the face, it is ultra sharp, ultra ugly digital sharpness. So comparing this lens to the Sony 85mm f1.8 lens, definitely get this lens. Now, from my point of view, as a prospective buyer to the Samyang 85mm f1.4 lens, and why I was a prospective buyer to Samyang? Because it was the lightest 85mm lens till now, because I want a light package, I don't want a heavy package. So between Samyang and this lens, I would definitely choose this lens. Lighter, metal built, aperture clicks, all the whistle and bells on it. So a great pro and hobby photographer lens, really great, and also a pro photographer lens if you are on a budget. So in conclusion, for who is this lens? I think that this lens, it is definitely a must for Nikon ZF users, definitely. So if you're a Nikon ZF shooter and want retro modern looking lens for Nikon, this is a great match. You have aperturing and yes, fully metal body and lens. This is a great feeling in hand. So I've mounted the lens on Nikon ZF to give you my feedback, and wow, it is really great. Pretty good balance, very good, not good. It's staying very well in the hand. It looks big and chunky, but no, it's really beautiful, a top notch. Look here, all metal. And without the lens hood, boom. And I can keep it with one hand and it is portable and easy to maneuver. Look how great it's looking. Amazing on Nikon ZF. Really loving it. Unfortunately, I have the Sony E-mount with the mega depth adapter, but definitely if you are a Nikon Z shooter and looking for a small 85mm f1.4 light, really great, really great. I'm just imagining myself shooting this lens in street photography with Nikon Z. A true pleasure. So for Nikon Z, also for Fujifilm X shooters, and also for Sony shooters, definitely. This lens, it's a great alternative, and it is my first choice, definitely my first choice than Sony 85mm f1.8. I never liked that lens, never ever liked the 85mm f1.8 lens from Sony. Even if the lens is doing the job, you can make it work. I'm not saying you can't make it work, but why not get this and make it work even and 10 times better, I would say. Because 15 aperture blaze, ultra smooth bokeh, great rounded bokeh balls, great contrast, great sharpness, and all the whistle and bells regarding build quality and buttons. So a no-brainer, a lens that has a great price, and a lens that if you'll get it now, you'll also obtain 2 filters. What more could you ask? And also, very important, this lens is working great with the mist filters from Sirui. So this means that you'll get very nice pictures with the mist filter. I can't wait to use it more with the mist filter, because compared to other mist filters that I've used, this mist filter didn't took too much from the contrast and from the sharpness. So using these mist filters, I was able to keep the contrast and the bite from the lens and have that misty glow around the highlights. So a great package that I truly recommend. You'll really love it a lot. And yes, very good results, very good colors, very good contrast. So go now and get this lens. Use the links in the comments and description. Subscribe to my channel. Give it a like to this video, leave me your comments, and also please be sure to check the next video right now. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.